They sent me a refugee bride from space. Until I learned she was hiding royal blood. Jonas Keller had lived on Zephyria for nearly 10 years, and in that time, he had grown accustomed to the quiet rhythm of the colony. The planet was far from Earth, a patchwork of human settlements and small research stations, nestled among hills that glowed faintly at night with bioluminescent moss. Jonas liked it that way, peaceful, safe, and free from the chaos of interstellar politics. He was an engineer by trade, not a diplomat, and he preferred machinery to people. Yet life, he reminded himself, often had other plans. When the message arrived, he thought it was a mistake at first. The Colony Council had assigned him a refugee bride, a rare practice meant to strengthen interspecies relations. He was told she was fleeing her home system due to unrest, a civilian caught in political upheaval. Jonas had expected a formal, perhaps awkward meeting. What he did not expect was Lyra. Lyra arrived on a calm morning, stepping down from the transport shuttle with grace that seemed almost practiced. She was slender, her skin a subtle shade of lavender that glimmered softly in the sunlight, and her eyes were large, dark, and full of curiosity. Her voice, when she greeted him, was melodic but careful, as though every word was weighed before spoken. Jonas had never met anyone quite like her, and despite himself, he felt a small flutter of nervousness. "Hello," she said, bowing slightly. "I am Lyra. I hope I am welcome here." Jonas hesitated. "Of course," he said finally, offering a hand. "I'll help you settle in." Zephyria is quiet, but it has its charms. Lyra smiled faintly, and he noticed the subtle intelligence in her gaze. It was not the simple curiosity of someone exploring a new planet. There was an understanding behind her eyes, a careful observation, as if she were learning everything at once. Settling her into his small, modest home was easier than Jonas had anticipated. Lyra moved gracefully, handling herself with confidence, yet she never imposed. She asked questions, not about luxuries but about everyday things: the water recycling system, the energy grids, the farming plots. Jonas found himself explaining things he had never thought to share, and she listened with such attention that he began to forget she was a stranger. Over the next few days, Lyra revealed unexpected talents. She had a keen sense of design and could improve even the simplest machines with subtle adjustments. Jonas had always prided himself on his engineering skills, yet he found himself both impressed and slightly unnerved by her abilities. When he asked her how she had learned so much, she smiled softly. "I studied a little everywhere," she said. "It is important to understand the world around you." Jonas nodded, though he could not shake the feeling that there was more to her than she revealed. It was not just her skill. It was the confidence with which she moved through systems, the way she seemed to predict problems before they occurred. One evening, as they sat together repairing a solar panel, Jonas noticed something peculiar. Lyra paused, her fingers hovering over a circuit and her eyes flicked toward a small, encrypted communication device. She covered it quickly when she saw him looking, tucking it into her sleeve. Jonas frowned. "What's that?" he asked casually. "Nothing," she replied, her voice calm, almost too calm. "Just a personal device." Jonas let it go for now, but a seed of curiosity had been planted. Over the next week, he observed more strange behavior. Lyra often glanced at the horizon, as if calculating something beyond the settlement. She had knowledge of alien politics, subtle things that a simple refugee would not know. And yet, she never bragged or corrected anyone, always careful to remain unobtrusive. One afternoon, Jonas was organizing some of her belongings to help her unpack further when he found it. A small, folded insignia, embroidered in delicate threads, tucked into the lining of her robe. He froze, recognizing the symbol immediately from interstellar records. It was the royal seal of her home system, a mark reserved only for ruling families. His heart raced. Lyra had been sent as a refugee, but this symbol told him a different story. She was hiding her identity, royal blood in exile, possibly the last of her line. Jonas didn't speak immediately, unsure of how to confront her. He returned the insignia carefully, folding it back into the robe and keeping his expression neutral. That evening, he tried to act as if nothing had happened, but the air between them had changed. He watched her closely, noting the way her expression shifted subtly, almost imperceptibly, when she thought no one was looking. She was guarding herself, but why? Was she afraid of political enemies, or was there more at stake than even Jonas could guess? Dinner was quiet, the hum of the settlement generators filling the small space between them. Jonas finally asked, hesitating, "Lyra, why did you come here? If you are truly a refugee, why bring nothing but yourself?" Lyra's eyes met his, steady but reflective. "I wanted safety," she said simply, "and to understand another world. It is easier to learn when you are small, unnoticed." Jonas nodded, sensing that there was truth in her words but also more left unsaid. He realized then that Lyra's presence was not just a personal matter. It could change the balance of relations in the galaxy. And yet, he felt a strange reassurance in knowing she trusted him enough to be here. In the days that followed, Jonas noticed her quiet acts of observation. She would accompany him to the workshop, suggesting minor improvements to machines, or she would explore the surrounding landscape, making notes and sketches in a small notebook. She asked questions about human habits, about why humans laughed, how they solved conflicts without weapons, and how they used creativity to overcome challenges. Jonas found himself explaining not only technology but also philosophy, morality, and ingenuity. One evening, as they sat beneath the glowing moss-covered hills, Jonas decided to take a risk. He asked, "If someone knew who you really are, would they try to take you?" Lyra's smile was small, almost sad. "Perhaps. That is why I must be careful. But I trust that here, I can learn what it means to live among people who think differently." Jonas felt a mix of awe and responsibility. He was living in a galaxy of power, secrets, and schemes. And yet here was a being who could change everything, quietly, through knowledge, observation, and intelligence. He understood then that her journey was not just about escape. It was about strategy, diplomacy, and perhaps even survival of ideals, not armies. A week later, while repairing a water filtration unit, Jonas stumbled upon another clue, a partially encrypted message she had inadvertently left on her device. He managed to decode it partially, references to political factions, secret treaties, and warnings. Jonas realized that Lyra's exile was not just a matter of personal safety. She was a key player in a larger game, and her presence on Zephyria could draw attention from forces he could barely imagine. Despite the potential danger, Jonas felt a surge of admiration. Humanity, he thought, was remarkable for its ability to adapt, to create, and to trust others in difficult circumstances. Lyra's intelligence, her courage, and her careful patience reminded him of what humans themselves valued: ingenuity, morality, and empathy. By the end of the week, Jonas knew that he could no longer treat her as merely a refugee bride. She was more than that, an extraordinary being with knowledge that could alter alliances, prevent conflicts, and bridge cultures. He had a choice: reveal her secret and risk chaos, or trust her and help her adapt, quietly becoming a human ally in an interstellar drama. As the sun set behind the glowing hills, Jonas looked at Lyra, who was sketching the landscape in her notebook, unaware that he was watching. Her expression was serene, yet full of purpose. He realized then that the days ahead would not be ordinary. They would be filled with challenges, discoveries, and perhaps even triumphs that required nothing but wit, care, and human ingenuity. And for the first time in a long while, Jonas felt ready to meet them. The next morning, Jonas woke to the soft hum of Zephyria's morning light spilling across his workshop. Lyra was already awake, sitting by the window and sketching the horizon. He watched her for a moment, noticing the way her hand moved with precision and grace. There was a calm in her demeanor, but Jonas knew better now. She carried secrets and knowledge far beyond any ordinary refugee. He took a deep breath and decided it was time to confront her. Not with anger or suspicion, but with honesty. If he was to help her, he needed to understand the truth. "Lyra," he said, approaching her quietly, "I know you are not just a refugee. I found your insignia. You are royal, aren't you?" Lyra looked up, her eyes calm but unreadable. She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Yes, I am Lyra of the Silistara line. I left my home to protect myself. There were those who would have used me as a tool for their own ambitions." Jonas sat beside her, feeling the weight of the revelation. "Why come here? Why Zephyria? I needed a place where I could learn, observe, and understand. Humans are different. You do not rely solely on power. You rely on intelligence, creativity, and trust. I wanted to see if these qualities could truly shape a world." Jonas felt a rush of admiration. Here was someone of immense power, yet she sought knowledge, not dominance. It reminded him of the best qualities humanity prized: ingenuity, adaptability, and moral courage. Over the next few days, Jonas and Lyra worked together to settle her fully into the colony. She learned the ways of the humans quickly, how they managed their small farms, how they repaired machines with limited resources, and how they solved problems with patience rather than force. Jonas found that teaching her was also teaching himself, reminding him of human creativity and resilience. One afternoon, as they were repairing a solar collector, Lyra spoke softly. "Jonas, there is more I must tell you. My enemies are powerful and they may eventually seek me out, but I do not want to bring danger here. I need your help, not as a protector but as a partner. Together, I believe we can prevent unnecessary conflict." Jonas nodded, realizing that this was not a question of safety alone. Lyra's presence could spark fear, curiosity, or envy among alien factions. Yet humans had a unique advantage: innovation and strategy. While others relied on force or intimidation, humans thrived on thinking, adapting, and finding creative solutions. They began developing a plan, small at first. Lyra shared information about her home system's politics, secret alliances, hidden resources, and the ambitions of those who sought her. Jonas listened carefully, thinking like an engineer. If human ingenuity could outmaneuver brute force, perhaps they could avert any danger entirely. Their first test came sooner than expected. A small envoy from a neighboring system arrived, curious about the new refugee. They were polite, cautious, but clearly probing. Jonas watched Lyra handle it with remarkable composure. She answered questions carefully, revealing only what was safe, deflecting potentially harmful inquiries, and using her knowledge to create trust rather than suspicion. Jonas realized something extraordinary. Humans were capable of building bridges not through weapons, but through understanding, creativity, and moral reasoning. Lyra's insight into alien politics, combined with human ingenuity, created a strategy no one could anticipate. They could resolve problems without violence, relying on clever solutions and cooperation. As weeks passed, Jonas and Lyra continued their work. She adapted to human culture, participating in community projects, helping children understand alien technology, and teaching farmers small improvements that boosted crop efficiency. She learned to laugh with humans, and in doing so, she also taught them lessons in diplomacy, patience, and foresight. Jonas was fascinated by the subtle changes her presence brought. The colony began to thrive in unexpected ways. Machines ran more efficiently, negotiations with visiting merchants were smoother, and the overall morale improved. Lyra's insight allowed humans to see possibilities they had overlooked, and her humility inspired trust rather than fear. One night, as the twin moons of Zephyria cast silver light across the settlement, Jonas and Lyra walked along the hilltops. He turned to her, curiosity and respect mingling in his voice. "Lyra, do you think humans can really make a difference out there, beyond this planet?" She looked at him thoughtfully. "I do. Humans do not have the advantage of royal blood, massive fleets, or inherited power. But you have something others do not: imagination, courage, and the ability to act with fairness. You turn challenges into opportunities. You think beyond immediate gain, and that makes you strong in ways others cannot understand." Jonas smiled, feeling a warmth he had not known in years. He realized that humanity's strength was not in dominance, but in ingenuity and character. He had seen it every day in the way Lyra adapted, trusted, and collaborated. And he felt proud, not just of her, but of what humans represented in the galaxy. Their biggest test came quietly, almost unexpectedly. Reports arrived of an interstellar faction moving to exploit Lyra's exile for political gain. Instead of panicking, Jonas and Lyra devised a plan. They would use knowledge, strategy, and diplomacy to prevent conflict. Lyra reached out discreetly to allies in her home system, while Jonas coordinated with the Zephyrian Council, using clever engineering and communication strategies to create the impression of strength and readiness without hostility. When the faction finally arrived, prepared for confrontation, they found no violence. Instead, they were met with calculated strategy and clear communication. Lyra's intelligence, combined with Jonah's human ingenuity, convinced them that aggression would be pointless and counterproductive. Negotiations took place, agreements were formed, and the threat dissolved, not through fear, but through clever planning and mutual respect. The colony celebrated quietly, not with weapons or force, but with renewed trust in one another. Jonas realized that their success was a demonstration of humanity's potential. Humans could survive, thrive, and inspire, not by dominating others, but by thinking creatively, acting wisely, and trusting in their principles. As weeks turned into months, Lyra decided to stay permanently. She had found in Zephyria not just safety, but a community that valued intelligence, morality, and cooperation. Jonas, too, found something unexpected, a partnership that combined human ingenuity with alien wisdom. Together, they continued to improve the colony, helping others adapt and thrive, quietly shaping a model of interstellar diplomacy that could influence many worlds. Jonas often watched Lyra as she worked, and he marveled at how she had become part of the human world while still carrying her royal heritage. She had learned from humans, yet she also taught them, showing that understanding, curiosity, and trust were universal strengths. And Jonas understood, finally, why she had come. She had sought safety, yes, but she had also sought the human spirit, the creativity and morality that allowed a small planet of humans to face challenges far beyond their size. In the quiet evenings, Jonas and Lyra often walked under the glowing moss hills, discussing new ideas, new designs, and ways to improve life on Zephyria. Every invention, every plan, every subtle improvement reflected what Jonas had realized all along. Humans were remarkable, not because of power, but because of their ability to think, create, and act with integrity. Lyra looked at him one evening, smiling softly. "Jonas, this is only the beginning. There are more worlds out there, more challenges, but I believe humans can rise to meet them. I have seen it here, and it is extraordinary." Jonas nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He knew she was right. Humans had faced challenges before and had survived through ingenuity, resilience, and compassion. And now, with Lyra by his side, he realized that the galaxy itself might have something to learn from them. The stars above Zephyria shimmered in quiet brilliance, and Jonas felt a surge of hope. The future was uncertain, vast, and full of possibilities, but one thing was clear. With creativity, courage, and the human spirit, there was no challenge they could not meet. And together, he and Lyra would face it all, not with fear, but with intellect, trust, and an unwavering belief in humanity's potential. As they returned to the settlement, ready for the work and discoveries ahead, Jonas understood something profound. Humanity's true strength was not measured in fleets or armies, but in the mind, the heart, and the will to act wisely. And with Lyra's presence, they had only begun to touch the possibilities that lay ahead. Life on Zephyria had settled into a rhythm, but for Jonas and Lyra, the world beyond the glowing hills was always moving. Messages from distant systems arrived more frequently, bringing news of political shifts, scientific discoveries, and trade opportunities. Lyra had grown comfortable in her new life, blending her royal intelligence with human creativity, yet the galaxy had a way of reminding them that nothing remained simple for long. One morning, as Jonas worked in the engineering bay, Lyra approached with a small device in hand. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held focus. "Jonas, I have received an unusual message," she said. "It is not a threat, but it is an opportunity. The Council of Worlds is calling for ideas on sustainable planetary development. They want examples of cooperation between species and methods that could prevent conflicts over resources." Jonas raised an eyebrow. "And they sent this message to you because of what we have done here," Lyra said, her voice steady. "They have heard of Zephyria's improvements. They want to know how humans and others can work together without war or domination." Jonas felt a rush of excitement. Humans had always faced challenges and solved them with intelligence and perseverance. Here was a chance to show the galaxy that peaceful ingenuity could outshine force. Over the following weeks, Jonas and Lyra worked tirelessly. They gathered data from the colony, documenting every improvement: water recycling methods, crop efficiency enhancements, and energy solutions that combined alien technology with human innovation. They also highlighted community projects, where humans and other species collaborated to solve problems collectively. Lyra translated the information into formats accessible to the Interstellar Council, ensuring that their work could serve as a model. During this process, Jonas noticed something remarkable. Lyra's perspective, shaped by royal responsibility and interstellar diplomacy, allowed her to see patterns and connections he had missed. She suggested subtle changes that made solutions more universally adaptable, ensuring that even civilizations with different needs could benefit. Jonas implemented her ideas, and the results were immediately visible. Machines ran more efficiently, food yields increased, and energy usage decreased. One evening, as they reviewed the data, Lyra paused. "Jonas, I have been thinking. Our success is not just in technology. It is in trust and collaboration. Humans think in ways others do not. You imagine solutions where others see only problems. That is why Zephyria works." Jonas smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "It is not just me," he said. "It is everyone here. Humans are strong because they care, because they think, and because they never give up on what is right." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and now we have a chance to show the galaxy that strength is not about fleets, armies, or power. Strength is about knowledge, cooperation, and morality." When the day came to present their findings to the Council of Worlds, Jonas and Lyra traveled to the Central Space Station. The council chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from countless species. Some had sharp features, others had luminous skin, and many had forms Jonas had never imagined. The atmosphere was tense but respectful. Lyra stepped forward first, speaking clearly and confidently. She explained Zephyria's innovations, emphasizing the collaborative efforts of humans and their alien neighbors. Jonas supported her, demonstrating mechanical improvements, energy-efficient systems, and agricultural methods adapted from multiple worlds. They stressed human ingenuity, problem-solving, and ethical approaches to challenges. The council listened carefully. Questions followed, probing the details, testing the adaptability of their methods. Jonas and Lyra answered each with patience, clarity, and humility. Instead of impressing the council with power, they impressed them with understanding. They demonstrated that small, thoughtful interventions, guided by intelligence and moral responsibility, could prevent conflict and improve life for countless civilizations. After hours of discussion, the council reached a decision. Zephyria's methods would be adopted as a model for other developing systems. Humans would be invited to assist in implementation, not as rulers or conquerors, but as partners and teachers. Jonas felt a mixture of relief and awe. Here was proof that humanity could inspire change without dominance or aggression. As they returned to Zephyria, the colony celebrated quietly. Not with parades of weapons or displays of force, but with gratitude, laughter, and shared stories. Jonas watched Lyra interact with the children, explaining how small adjustments could make big differences. He saw her influence on the adults as well, encouraging cooperation, patience, and clever problem-solving. She had become a bridge between worlds, embodying the values of both her royal heritage and human ingenuity. Life continued to improve on Zephyria. Jonas and Lyra implemented new systems, combining alien knowledge and human creativity. Water filtration became more efficient, energy storage improved, and agriculture thrived. The colony became a model not only of survival, but of thriving in harmony with technology, environment, and community. One night, under the twin moons, Jonas and Lyra walked along the hills as they often did. The glow of the bioluminescent moss reflected softly on Lyra's face, and Jonas felt a deep sense of connection to both her and the world they were shaping together. "Jonas," Lyra said softly, "do you realize what we have accomplished?" Jonas shook his head. "I know we have made progress, but sometimes I can't see the full picture," Lyra smiled. "We have shown that intelligence, ethics, and creativity are stronger than brute force. Humans have always adapted, solved problems, and persevered. Now, others will learn that too. The galaxy will understand that strength comes in many forms, not just in power." Jonas looked at her, admiration swelling in his chest. She had come as a refugee, hiding her royal blood, yet she had found a home among humans and in turn, elevated humanity in the eyes of the galaxy. He realized that her journey mirrored humanity itself, cautious, creative, moral, and endlessly resourceful. The next morning brought more messages from neighboring systems, requesting guidance and collaboration. Humans would now play a larger role in shaping interstellar progress, not as conquerors, but as innovators, problem solvers, and diplomats. Jonas understood that this was only the beginning. With Lyra's wisdom and human ingenuity combined, they could help countless worlds thrive, creating solutions where others saw only conflict. In the weeks that followed, Jonas and Lyra traveled between colonies, sharing their knowledge and learning from others. Every journey reinforced the same lesson. Humans excel not through strength alone, but through thought, patience, and morality. Lyra became a symbol of collaboration, a reminder that even royalty could learn from human resilience. Back on Zephyria, Jonas often reflected on how their partnership had transformed his perspective. He had seen firsthand that humanity's greatest assets were its creativity, curiosity, and moral courage. Lyra had come seeking refuge, but she had found far more. A people whose ingenuity and integrity could change the galaxy without bloodshed. One evening, as they stood overlooking the settlement, Jonas realized that Zephyria itself had become a model of hope. Machines hummed efficiently, crops grew abundantly, and the community worked together with respect and understanding. It was a quiet triumph, but a powerful one. Humanity had proven that progress, peace, and cooperation could coexist, even in the vast and unpredictable galaxy. Lyra turned to him, eyes shining with warmth. "Jonas, we have done more than survive. We have shown what humans are capable of. They may be small compared to empires, but their ideas, their ethics, and their creativity, these are unstoppable. Jonas nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, humans had a strength that could not be measured by fleets or armies. It was the strength of the mind, the heart, and the will to do what was right. As the stars shimmered above, Jonas and Lyra stood together, ready to face the future. The galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, but they had learned a truth that would guide them forever. True strength lay in ingenuity, morality, and collaboration. And with that, humanity's story among the stars had only just begun. They returned to their work, inspired by what they had accomplished and eager for the challenges ahead. Zephyria would thrive, and so would the humans who had learned that their greatest power was not in weapons or domination, but in thinking, creating, and trusting in one another. The twin moons cast silver light across the settlement, and Jonas felt a quiet certainty. The future was bright, and humanity's place in the galaxy was secure, not because of fear or force, but because of intellect, courage, and heart. And with Lyra by his side, anything was possible. Life on Zephyria had grown busier with each passing day, but for Jonas and Lyra, every day felt like a new discovery. The small colony had become a hub of innovation, attracting humans and aliens alike who wished to learn from their methods. Lyra's presence, once a secret, was now an inspiration to everyone around her. She moved through the settlement with quiet confidence, guiding projects and mentoring young minds while still remaining approachable and humble. Jonas watched her often, marveling at how someone who had arrived in fear and exile had become the heart of the community. One morning, Jonas received a message from the Council of Worlds. They were requesting an urgent consultation, not about conflict or politics, but about sustainable development on multiple new colonies. Jonas realized that Zephyria's success was no longer just a local story. It had become a model for the galaxy. Lyra smiled when she read the message aloud. "The Council trusts us to share our knowledge," she said. "They believe in what humans can do." The idea that humans were being recognized across the stars filled Jonas with a mix of pride and responsibility. He had always believed in human ingenuity, but now it seemed the galaxy itself was taking notice. He and Lyra began preparing a comprehensive report that highlighted not only the technical improvements they had made, water filtration, energy efficiency, and crop optimization, but also the human values that guided these changes: patience, collaboration, and creative problem solving. In the following weeks, their work took them across Zephyria and its neighboring settlements. Jonas marveled at how quickly Lyra adapted to different environments, understanding local challenges and proposing practical, human-centered solutions. In one settlement, the community struggled with food production due to erratic weather. Lyra suggested minor modifications to irrigation systems and planting schedules, using knowledge from her home system combined with human ingenuity. Jonas implemented her ideas, and within weeks, crops flourished. During their travels, Lyra also emphasized the importance of education and collaboration. She held workshops with humans and aliens alike, teaching not just techniques but the philosophy behind them: observation, careful planning, and ethical decision-making. Jonas noticed that she often framed problems in a way that encouraged creative solutions, rather than relying on authority or force. People began to see that intelligence and cooperation could achieve results far greater than strength alone. One afternoon, while working in a new settlement's energy facility, Jonas paused and looked around. Machines hummed quietly, children learned alongside adults, and humans and aliens moved together in harmony. He felt a swell of admiration and hope. Lyra stood nearby, monitoring a complex system, her fingers moving deftly across controls. Jonas realized that what they were building was not just technological, it was cultural. The human approach to solving problems, guided by ethics and ingenuity, was spreading in ways even they had not anticipated. Later that evening, as the twin moons cast silver light over the hills, Jonas and Lyra sat together on a ridge overlooking the settlement. The soft glow of the moss below mirrored the quiet determination in their hearts. "Lyra," Jonas said, "I never imagined that helping one refugee could lead to all of this. It feels like we're shaping the galaxy itself, one small step at a time." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the moon's glow. "It is not just us. It is the people who trust in intelligence and collaboration, who act with care and thought. Humans have a unique way of facing challenges, not with aggression but with ideas. That is why others are beginning to notice." As weeks passed, their influence expanded. Settlements began to adopt the Zephyrian model of problem-solving. Resources were managed more efficiently, disputes were resolved through dialogue and innovation, and communities began to flourish in unexpected ways. Jonas found himself constantly amazed at how much could be accomplished when people worked together with ingenuity and respect. One day, a new message arrived, this time from a coalition of scientists across multiple star systems. They were struggling with a planetary environmental issue, pollution of water systems that threatened both human and alien populations. Lyra read the message carefully and then looked at Jonas. "We can help them. We have the knowledge, and humans have the creativity to adapt solutions to new environments." Jonas nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They began designing a plan that combined Zephyrian technology with adaptive techniques for different planetary conditions. Lyra coordinated communications with scientists from other systems, teaching them not just what to do, but how to think about problems creatively. Jonas oversaw implementation, using practical engineering and human ingenuity to adjust systems to unexpected challenges. As they worked, Jonas noticed a profound truth. Humans had the ability to turn complexity into clarity. Where others might see obstacles too vast to overcome, humans analyzed, experimented, and adapted. Lyra often pointed this out to visiting scientists, praising the human approach while encouraging them to apply similar principles in their own systems. Jonas felt proud not just of their successes, but of what humans represented: resilience, adaptability, and the courage to act wisely. One evening, after a long day of work, Jonas and Lyra walked through a forest of bioluminescent trees, their path lit by soft glowing moss. "Jonas," Lyra said thoughtfully, "do you realize what is happening? We are not just improving technology or infrastructure. We are changing perspectives. Humans are showing others that intelligence and morality can be stronger than domination." Jonas smiled. "I know. And it feels good to see it happen. Humans have always had the potential, but now the galaxy is starting to notice." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and that is only the beginning. As long as humans continue to value creativity, ethics, and collaboration, there is no challenge they cannot meet." In the months that followed, Zephyria became a beacon of innovation and cooperation. Colonists from other systems traveled to learn, bringing their own ideas and sharing in solutions. Jonas and Lyra guided workshops, solved engineering challenges, and demonstrated that even small populations could influence entire systems through thoughtful planning and ingenuity. The colony thrived not because of power or dominance, but because humans had applied their minds, hearts, and ethics to every problem. One day, as Jonas repaired a solar collector, he looked at Lyra overseeing the new water filtration system. "I never thought that one person's arrival could change so much," he said. Lyra smiled, adjusting a dial on the system. "It is not just one person. It is a partnership. Humans and aliens all working together. That is what makes progress real. That is what makes it lasting." As twilight fell over Zephyria, the colony gathered for a simple celebration. No grand displays, no weapons, just the quiet joy of a community that had learned to work together. Jonas watched children laugh and learn, adults share ideas, and aliens and humans collaborate in harmony. He realized that this, more than any invention or report, was the true achievement, a living example of human ingenuity, morality, and cooperation. Lyra turned to him, eyes bright. Jonas, the galaxy is vast, full of challenges and unknowns, but now we have proof that humans can rise to meet them, not with fear or force, but with thought, creativity, and heart. Jonas felt a swell of pride and hope. The future was vast, and humans had already proven their strength in ways that mattered most. Their ingenuity, compassion, and moral courage could shape worlds, inspire civilizations, and foster peace without ever lifting a weapon. As the twin moons rose high in the sky, Jonas and Lyra stood together, looking toward the stars. The galaxy was waiting, full of unknown possibilities. But for the first time, Jonas knew that humans would not only survive, they would thrive, inspire, and lead through intelligence, morality, and ingenuity. With Lyra by his side, Jonas felt ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. Together, they would continue to show that humanity's greatest strength was not in power, but in creativity, cooperation, and the courage to do what was right. And in doing so, they were shaping not only Zephyria, but the galaxy itself, one thoughtful, ingenious step at a time.